So on recent surveys that we've conducted, leadership and more information on leadership was the number one thing that people wanted to hear about from me and from LinkUp in terms of the ID. And when I think about leadership as one of my favourite topics, there are a number of things that come to mind. I've talked previously about fellowship and how significant that is to me as really the key metric of leadership. But there are two other things that really straight away jump out at me around leadership and the hallmarks of great leadership that I notice in other great leaders. So, and I'd ask you to maybe think about these for yourself. So with fellowship, think about your own fellowship. Who's following you and would you follow you? But secondly, authentic leadership. Are you being true to yourself? I think so many people try and pitch a message that they don't fully believe in. They haven't got their own act together. They've got values that are questionable in terms of the example they're setting for other people. So when it comes, you don't need to be perfect to be a leader. You can just be honest. You can even say, guys, I'm not feeling up to it today. The last thing I feel like doing right now is leading this team. That's still leadership. That's people, you're being transparent about where you're at, what you believe in and so on. But still in all, you step up to the mark. That's part of the responsibility of leadership. So authenticity doesn't mean perfection. It means being true to yourself, being true to your values and what you know are the right things to do by people, by your organisation, by your team. But it's also being true to who you are and the way that you need to lead in terms of your ID. So not copying someone else's style or their words or messages because it was, a joke you heard or a phrase you heard or a message you heard that worked for someone else in their communication. But what is it that you need to be doing and more importantly being, which is my other point I'll get onto in a minute, that is true to you with your ID. The second point I wanted to make around leadership was around being versus doing. I think so many leaders focus on trying to do the things that will make them a really good leader. And all the time they're missing two things. One is, who are you being? That's easy. That's just a choice you make in a moment of, am I going to be a person that brings value, brings a smile, brings a sense of caring, brings a sense of contribution to whoever you're interacting with? Or are you going to be more focused on your own agenda, on the motive you've got to get something done, and be a little oblivious maybe to the effect you're having? And I think that's one of the hallmarks of great leaders, is they're not only able to achieve the result, but they're very aware of who they're impacting around them. And when you're a leader, it's normally 10 times the impact that someone else might have. So it's, who are you being and what's the impact of that as you go through your journey? That to me is a really critical level of self-awareness, not just awareness of your strengths and your vulnerabilities, particularly from an ID point of view, but how are you impacting other people, and is all of that a positive, life-giving, value-adding contribution to the world, or are people sort of left in a wake as you go through your journey that either you or someone else has to somehow clean up? So authenticity around your leadership and being aware of who you are being versus doing. And that's all about being very present to where you're at, rather than focused on some longer term goal or some pre-prepared agenda where your mind is not about the now, it's about something you're trying to get to. So be present to who you are being and be authentic in that space.